Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today is going to be an anime review on Nobunaga Concerto Episode 8. Now, this week's episode left on a crazy cliffhanger. For one thing, I did not expect Oichi to try to persuade the Azai clan into, working with Nobunaga again. For instance, as we know from this episode, the Azai clan has betrayed Nobunaga's forces, and they're trying to take his head. And they were currently in a war in the middle of this episode. And I like how Oichi tries to, try to persuade the main leader of the battlefront. That was a really interesting cliffhanger, and it definitely brings up something very interesting. For instance, what is going to happen next episode? Because, this is in the Warring States era, okay? And so, people do die, people do betrayals, there's a lot of things going on in this entire era in Japan. And I don't, as I've said many times in my reviews of this series, I don't know the real, 100% facts to history when it comes to the Warring States era, especially with Nobunaga and his family. And so I believe, if I am correct, Oichi, Nobunaga's sister, is going to die in the concept of what is going to happen in this war. For instance, with the entire bit with Azai betraying Nobunaga, I feel like Oichi is either going to die because she's going to probably try to poison the leader of the Azai clan. That's what I want to say, because, it sounds like something that would happen in that era, but I feel like Oichi is going to die before this series is over, or before this war is over, because that's exactly what I would expect from this type of era in Japan. Now, I find it very intriguing how Hashiba tried to betray Oda in this episode. For instance, he wanted to lead the rear guard. To protect Oda and his entire forces on retreat to get back to the capital, but he was actually planning on abandoning the rear guard and let the entire forces and platoons just collapse to where the armies of Azai can just come up and kill Oda. So, I wonder if Hashiba is going to eventually change his ways, because, I understand he wants to become higher up and in power and stuff. He's had this goal since he was first introduced, and I don't know the 100% facts about his character in real life, but personally, it would be really interesting if Hashiba understands that Oda really cares about him, and he might gain some form of loyalty towards him, because it would definitely mix up the entire events. And then, someone that wants to betray you, let's say a specific person in real life wants to betray you, or in those eras or a show or whatever wants to betray you. Usually, if they eventually see that they were in error of their ways, if they go to your side, they might become a very loyal servant. That's exactly what I believe, because this series has, kind of changed up historical events a little bit. A lot of people have told me that a little bit of the historical events have been changed up a couple of bits. For instance, Oda as a character, our main male character, I've been told that they're changing around the story a little bit to make it to where Oda, Nobunaga, is more of an innocent character. For instance, the entire betrayal with Azai, if I'm correct, or the Shogun, he was supposed to betray the Shogun, not, the Shogun betraying Nobunaga. And so they're changing around the story and events a little bit to make it look like, Oda's in the right and that he's a good character, he's not bloodthirsty for blood, which in reality, Nobunaga technically was bloodthirsty, if I'm correct. But anyways, pretty much, I wonder if they're going to change the story up enough to make it to where Hashiba might, become loyal to Oda. Now, besides that entire moment, I do want to mention a couple things before I continue talking about the plot of the episode. The animation and CGI of this episode, as usual, it's not that good. It clearly is not that good. The series hasn't had the best CGI and animation. You would have to be pretty much half blind to not notice that. Seriously. But, as I have always said constantly in different animation's good and all. I love my animation. I love getting to see awesome, epic fights, especially with beautiful animation. But sometimes you need to look past the animation to really look at the good storytelling in characters. And I really enjoy the story that is just fleshed out in this series, because, as I've said, this series is completely different from other anime that is currently airing from this season. It has a very mature story to tell. It has really mature characters, it's got mature themes, and it definitely is quite different. The historical themes are quite different from other things I've seen from this year of anime. We've had a lot of Nobunaga-themed anime from this year. But out of all of them I have seen, clearly I think this is one of my favorite, because it has a different spin, it's more realistic, even though it has time travel into it, but, it feels right. It feels so freaking epic and right, the way it's going. Now, besides the animation bits and talking about, how I feel about the series, I feel like the character of Oda he's going to do something that is completely different from, I think, the end game of, you know, what happened to Nobunaga in real life. I mean, if I'm correct, as I've said a couple times, he died in the burning fortress, he was betrayed, and I feel like what is going to happen at the end of the series, the way I can see it working out and panning out, is that Oda is going to get to that point to where he's about to conquer Japan, okay? He's about to conquer it. And then Mitsuhide, the real Nobunaga, is going to betray him, since it did happen in history. He's going to try to betray Nobunaga, and he's going to become the real ruler of Japan. He's going to actually take his real mantle and spot as the real Nobunaga, and he is going to conquer Japan. That's what I see happening at the end, honestly, since, you know, we have 2 Nobunagas in the series. I can see that happening. Now, the big question is, the big thing that is up in the air at the moment with this series, and a lot of people are wondering, especially people that know their history to this series, or, you know, this story, knows that, you know, Mitsuhide betrays Nobunaga. The big question is, since Mitsuhide is the Nobunaga, is he going to betray our main male character? I mean, that is the biggest question that this series gives you. It's the biggest twist that this series just throws at you. It's the big curveball, because you don't know what is going to happen. So, I wonder what next episode's going to be about. Do you feel like, you know, Oichi is going to die? Let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about Mitsuhide, you know, most likely, I guess, going after our main male character and trying to kill him and actually becoming the real conqueror or the ruler of Japan? And also, do you feel like, you know, Hashiba as a character might have some form of loyalty in the future towards Nobunaga? Let me know in the comments below. I love all of you so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi.